Hi all, welcome and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I have two tragic stories to share with you out of Detroit, Michigan and Syracuse, New York. They'll leave you shaking your heads, folks. They'll leave you shaking your heads. Let's get started. Our first story, out of Detroit, involves 49-year-old Ronald Segers, who is serving time in prison for conspiring to sell heroin and illegal possession of a firearm. Segers began serving his sentence in early 2018 and was not scheduled for release until June of 2022. But the COVID crisis gave him the opportunity to fight for early release. So, he filed a petition for compassionate early release, arguing that the prisoners where he was housed were sleeping closer than 6 feet from each other, eating elbow to elbow, and there was no access to medical treatment after 5 p.m. each day. So, if he contracted COVID, he would have to wait until the next day to be diagnosed and treated. He also stated that he suffered from medical problems before he entered prison as well, including hypertension and a stroke which paralyzed part of his left side, which only helped his case. So, on June 15th of 2020, the court decided it was in their best interest to release Segers from his sentence 2 years early, stating, "Considering the number of infected people Segers is unknowingly in contact with, continuing to incarcerate him under these conditions could be a lethal decision." Could be a lethal decision. Remember that. But the court did go on to say, Segers states that upon reentry, he will reside with his fiancee, find employment, and receive rental income from a house he owns in Detroit. Considering that Segers has taken responsibility for his crimes, has resolved to stay away from crime, and his family is willing to take him in and support his reentry, the court sees no reason why he cannot serve the remainder of his sentence at home. Excellent decision. After all, we certainly wouldn't want the court to make a lethal decision by putting him at risk of contracting the virus. No, we wouldn't. And just like that, he was a free man. Free to quarantine and stay virus-free. Free to serve the remainder of his sentence in the comfort of his own home. And free to start planning his future with his fiancée, who he moved in with upon his release. The guy must have been ecstatic. Released from prison 2 whole years early and into the arms of the woman he loved. And he probably was for a while. But apparently getting released from prison to start a new life with the one you love isn't all it's cracked up to be. At least it didn't appear to be for Segers. Because on December 14th of 2020, almost 6 months to the day that he was released from prison, he decided to go back. Only this time, he wasn't playing. He wasn't going back to do a few measly years for drug or firearm possession. No siree. This time, he decided to play ball with the big kids and go back for attempted murder. Go big or go home, right? On December 14th of 2020, Detroit police say they received a call about a domestic dispute between Segers and his fiancée at a home on Normandy Street. When they arrived on scene, they found Segers' fiancée's 64-year-old mother bleeding from 2 gunshot wounds. She told police Segers shot her and her daughter, Segers' fiancée, and then he fled the home. Police found Segers' fiancée lying in a pool of blood after he shot her 4 times. The 2 women were rushed to the hospital in critical condition, where Segers' fiancée was left fighting for her life in the ICU. Police say they searched for Seger, and he ended up surrendering to them at a Detroit gas station a couple hours later. His fiancée's mother has since been released from the hospital, but his fiancée remains in critical condition. Good thing they released him early, so he didn't catch the corona, huh? Good thing. Hey, speaking of good things, the next story I'm going to share with you out of Syracuse, New York, will make you wonder if you should ever do a good deed for your fellow man again. I used to work with a woman who always used to tell me that no good deed ever goes unpunished. I used to think she was awful for saying that, until I got burned enough doing nice things for others and learned my lesson. But saying that was never truer than in this story I'm about to share with you now. On December 11th, 2020, Franchelli Almonte was asked by her friend to go with her to rescue her daughter from her boyfriend who wouldn't let her leave his home. She said her daughter told her he put his hands on her, and she was afraid to try to leave alone. So, being the good friend she was, Almonte picked her friend up and went with her to rescue her daughter. Her friend told her that her daughter's boyfriend was controlling and disrespectful, and she had been trying to get her daughter away from him for a while, but with no luck. When they arrived at the boyfriend's home, her friend's daughter got into the car, but her boyfriend kept trying to pull her back out. When she wouldn't do what he wanted, he picked up a brick and threw it through the car window. Then he started threatening the three women as he approached Almonte's driver's side door. According to her friend, Almonte always kept a stick in her car so she'd have a weapon to fight off an attacker. So she grabbed it to fight off the girl's boyfriend through her window. But he overpowered her and grabbed the stick from her. Then he stabbed her in the neck. So apparently he went out to the car, armed with a knife, knowing he was probably going to murder someone. Her friend told police that Almonte drove away after he stabbed her, but that they didn't get very far because Almonte couldn't breathe, so she had to stop. Her friend said they called 911 for help, but before they could flag the police or ambulance down, Almonte lost consciousness and stopped breathing. Later that night, she was pronounced dead at the hospital. She leaves behind 2 kids, a 7-year-old daughter and an 11-year-old son. Her friend said she worked for a senior care service, but her true passion, however, was event planning. Her friends described her as protective. They said she was considerate enough to tell others to take care of themselves, and selfless enough to never take her own advice. According to news reports, police have been searching for the girl's boyfriend, but I haven't read that he was found or that any arrest was made in this case. Horrible, huh? Can you imagine how her friend and her friend's daughter must feel right now? I want to say I wish the girl just jumped in the car and they raced off before he could do anything. But it would have only been a matter of time before he came for his girlfriend, or her mother for rescuing her, or something. He was going to hurt someone because he wasn't getting his way. That's for sure. It's just too bad that it was an innocent woman who was just trying to help. Now her babies don't have a mother, all because she thought she was doing the right thing. So tragic. At least they'll know she died trying to save someone else, and they can be proud to call their mother a hero. I sure do. Thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate your time, and I'll see you on my next video.